Cusco.
Comes to a We look now at one of the most alarming developments this year. How more jails in the United States are becoming death traps where people face inhumane conditions and overcrowded facilities. New data show New York City jails are the deadliest in more than a quarter of a century. 19 people died in city custody or shortly after being released, and severe understaffing at the notorious Rikers Island jails has been linked to several suicides, as officials are now predicting the population to balloon in coming years, even as the city faces a mandate to shut Rikers down by 2027. Meanwhile, in DeKalb, Georgia, officials report 2 people died from hanging this week in less than 24 hours, making this the deadliest year in the jail's history. In Houston, Texas, the Harris County Jail has seen a record 27 deaths this year. It's been under a non-compliance status since September.
They said they were going to shut down Rikers Island. They've been saying that since. Didn't Obama say he was going to close?
No, I think you're talking about what's the one?
Guantanamo Bay. I might be mixing it up.
They've all been saying Guantanamo, but they've been wanting to shut Rikers down for a while because it was made back in the 20s or earlier. I mean, it's way outdated. It needs to be completely pulled down to the ground and rebuilt as a better facility.
I was thinking Alcatraz, but
it's a tourist place now, so Alcatraz is.
Yeah.
Shit, Rikers Island need to be a tourist place.
Fuck that, man.
No, I don't even think it should be just get rid of the shit.
That shit needs to be torn down, the whole area cleansed by a whole bunch of freaking hippies burning sage, and then
just
rebuilt.
Think about the energy that is holding in that area. You know what I'm saying? Like,
why do you think I said hippies burning? Invite a whole bunch of hippies burning sage in there.
I'm agreeing with you, bro.
Yeah.
There's some bad juju in that place, man.
Yeah, man.
Let me play some more.
That's where we begin now to look at this underreported crisis.
And Harris County's bad too.
Texas Jail Project co-founder and
that's Harris County right there.
Aims to be an official citizens jail oversight commission throughout Texas. Has
Been there, done that.
Crisis in Houston. Also with us, Carrie Blakinger, investigative reporter based in Texas, covering jails and prisons for the Marshall Project. She's moving on to the Los Angeles Times. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Krish, let's begin with you. Why are in-custody deaths surging in Texas jails? I mean, let's be very clear here. Jail is where people go more often than not before they have been convicted of anything, and they are dying in jail.
My bad, y'all. I'm trying
by suicide or by maltreatment. Not clear. Tell us what's happened.
Good morning, Amy. Yes, you're absolutely right to point out that jails are places where people are held pre-trial. That means they're not being convicted. They're legally innocent. And it's become a death sentence for a lot of folks.
Lack of medicine was one, I think.
Yeah, so she just said, these people haven't been convicted of anything. Some of them could be completely innocent. They're legally innocent, she said, and it has become a death sentence for a whole bunch of people.
But I don't know if it was Rikers or here, but one of the deaths that they're talking about during all this was a kid who brought his insulin with him.
Yeah, they're gonna bring that up.
I need insulin. And ended up like 5 days later was dead because he hadn't been given insulin at all while he was there.
Yeah, that's one of them that they talk about here.
Yeah, they talk about that one. So that's so fucked up, right? That's just like it's so crazy how And then with our society, it's like people be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have went to jail, you shouldn't have went to prison or whatever, you shouldn't have did nothing dirty.
Funny thing is, I didn't find out about that from the people dying in prison sites. I found that out from one of the ones where we're talking about the cost of insulin. And, what happened to that kid's insulin and things like that is what they were asking. Why did he not get it, or why wasn't it there for him to get?
When the cops took it home to their mama.
Nobody had any proof or anything but supposition and blind conjectures. So nothing came of that conversation, in my opinion. But the question was worth being asked. Where is that now?
Maybe just sitting on a shelf. Let me play some more.
County jails. As of yesterday, we had 161 custody deaths in Texas County jails. That's about 240 jails spread across 254 counties. And in Harris County jail, that number is actually, officially they say 27, but we know that there were 28 deaths because people are being given a PR bond as they are dying in the hospital, so that they don't have to be counted. So actually, we've had 28 deaths that we know about. And the reason for that is severe overcrowding. And the overcrowding is being determined by a really small group of prosecutors and local judges who handle felony cases, which is in stark contrast to reforms enacted by misdemeanor judges that have dramatically reduced incarceration and reduced crime and improved public safety. But the officials responsible for felonies have rejected overwhelming evidence to expand pre-trial releases, and they've pursued policies of greater pre-trial detention, which is why we're seeing the system collapsing under its own weight. We hear about systemic medical neglect, medical abuse. Just the whole system is just collapsing under its own weight.
And you know why they're pushing it. And it's like, do they really care about public safety? And then, they, in the news, they, it's, back to blue and all of this. And, at the same time, they're not really caring because
you have to ask yourself why.
And these are regular people that end up in jail behind random stuff sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And now they're in there and they fuck around and die behind some random ass situation, and it's happening more and more. So, but then with the number being 27 or 28 or whatever, a lot of people might be like, oh, that's not a lot of people, so whatever, like it's not a big deal. Well, one person is too much. If it's an innocent person that's in there and they didn't get the insulin, some stupid stuff like that, like everyone should be upset about that, because that could be any one of us, or our sons, daughters, sisters, brothers, mothers.
No, people should be even more upset about this because, again, this is jail. This isn't prison. These are people being held that still have yet to be arraigned, to be tried. At this point in time, they are all not guilty, and their life is 100% beholden to the state.
And we're not in good hands. Like Allstate.
We are ultimately, as a state, responsible for every bit of their safety in their lives because they have been given no choice but to be where they are for what that is. And they're not guilty. They're not guilty yet, but they're still being held against their will. We are 100% responsible for their fate.
Well, my thing is, I think the system itself is egotistical and based on ignorance. A lot of times these people get locked up for BS. And, we've been talking about bail reform, but a lot of these people should never even get bail. Like if you get a citation to come show up in court and then, it'd be discussed at that point. But trying to lock somebody up, like, that's police overreach. You know what I'm saying?
They're making a whole bunch of money. It's all the money because they're saying they're overcrowded. What do you think? Why do you think that's happening? Like all the money is each head that's in there.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean that as I was speaking, that it led me to that thought that it's like, yeah, a lot of that is because they want to keep a certain amount of money flow into the system, because then if they're letting people out and they're still somebody who's been in there for who knows how long, 3 years, 2 years. So like some of these people in city jails end up being locked up, time served, they get freed on something that maybe they would have, done 18 months or this, that, and the other. So as people are coming out, they're looking to be able to lock more people,
See,
into the system.
I had a buddy that was in jail. They didn't put him in prison. They kept him in jail because he kept bouncing in and out of court on things. So after 18 months, he got a 5-year sentence and triple time because it was in jail or some crazy like that. He got a 5-year sentence and was out 3 days later with time served.
Psst. That's so crazy. Like, how does that happen?
Never saw a prison. I mean that because there is a game to be played.
Yeah.
Let me play some more.
So even as we speak overnight, you've been getting more information. Just describe the situation of people who have died in jail.
Yeah, so just to give you an idea of some of the tragic and completely preventable deaths. That's one thing
I'm gonna close all my other tabs. So I think that's the reason.
like to underscore is that these are absolutely preventable deaths. So 24-year-old young man went into the jail with his insulin shots.
Oh my God, this is annoying.
And he told the staff that he was diabetic and he needed his insulin. 4 days later, he's dead because of diabetic ketoacidosis because he didn't get his insulin. The first death this year was Simon Peter Douglas, who came into the jail in acute psychiatric crisis, tried to hang himself, and they put him in a padded cell, and he managed to beat his head so badly against the walls and the metal grate on the floor that he eventually died, which is abject medical neglect. I mean, these are absolutely preventable deaths. Another death that I was reading an autopsy report on yesterday of a 38-year-old woman with diabetes. She died because of complications from a fungal infection. So all these were just completely preventable deaths. 3 of them were suicides. 4 of them were people with severe mental illness who were found incompetent to stand trial. And these are custodial deaths. So these people are under the direct supervision, surveillance, and care of the sheriff's staff. And so they're responsible for their life and death. And when people die under direct surveillance and supervision, it just erodes the public's trust in these systems. I mean, if I can't trust the sheriff to keep people in his own custody safe, how can we expect him to keep people in the community safe?
What do y'all think about that?
Yeah. Just woke up.
Mad interesting to me. I was about to go to sleep and this just woke me up.